Hello, everybody, and a very happy Wednesday to you all. So we've got images to go through. We've got people live. Hello, party people. And we've got an animated shot by Matt. But before we get into images, there was a question from Kat that I wanted to cover first, and I forgot to say this before we started. So, Kat, you asked a question about, like you're working with an animator on this shot. And the animator came back with, you showed the initial progress, and the response was like, this is cool, but like I want to see more illumination overall. And you asked like, how do you balance that as a lighter, right? The key to that is a couple things. Number one, this is like a classic thing that comes up when you're working on animated films all the time. Animators are working, like if you think about their workflow, they're working in Maya, they're rendering play blasts, everything's very flat lit, and so they're looking at the entirety of the character, the entirety of the set, everything, all the time. And so they'll add nuances, they'll add detail, they'll spend a day or two on, like something on like this side, like making sure this eyebrow's in the right position and that kind of thing. And then what happens is they see the lighting and they're like, wait, this thing that I spent a day on, you can't see it anymore. And that's where they're coming from. And it's not like out of like it's just their initial reaction, because it's different than what they anticipated. So the way to balance it is a few things. Number one is doing exactly what you're doing and show them an early iteration. That's so important in any sort of collaboration, right? Because we could, like, we as people focused on lighting could go down this rabbit hole of like trying to light it a specific way, but it's not what the end user wants. And because like at the end of the day, it's, if we're lighting this for an animator or for a company or for a director, we need to share the progress with them so that that like we don't start chasing detail and like the overall thing is off. So in terms of this shot specifically, like how do we make this brighter to kind of fill that need? I think some of it is like treating this less like a film noir shot and treating it more like a traditional contrasty black and white type image. And the best way to do that would be to really, we need to get more fill value in there. And the best way to do that would be to emphasize more of this light and emphasize more light coming in the room back here. So it sounds like, and again, Kat, I know you're on the road, so I don't want you to respond if you can't. Like it sounds like you put in a white object here to reflect more of the light up in this iteration, and that's giving us a good amount of things. But what may need to happen is as an area light needs to be positioned there to bounce even more light up on the character. Luckily for us, we don't actually see that surface, so it actually makes it a lot easier. And then what we could do is we can take this value on the character and get him up into something more along this realm, which is still pretty contrasty, but you're filling in some a little bit more areas, and then you can have this window back here be glowier with light kind of coming in. Like again, since the key light's coming in from the screen right side, it wouldn't be direct key, but it would be like like the skylight going in there, and it's kind of glowy, and then it just kind of creates a little bit more rim on him there and a little bit more fill value. So that's really all it takes. I mean, I have an example. If you ever watch Rio, there's a sequence where the birds have been kidnapped and they're being walked to the smuggler's lair, and it's nighttime, it's an alley, the birds are in a cage covered in a thick cloth, and there's still a ton of fill light in there. even though there's no reason to do that. And it's because the director wanted to emphasize the specific animation going on in that shot. And it damn near killed the lighter to do that because they wanted to, like, their first take on it was a super cool, like super contrasty, kind of dark, moody looking thing. And that's just sometimes, that's just what happens. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
I hope that answers your question on that one.
Yeah, I have a bounce card, but I can switch that to an area light easy. That's not a problem.
Yeah. So area light there, either a portal or area light outside this window to create more light coming in here. And then we'll see what that looks like on the character naturally. If it looks great, cool, we'll leave that. If not, then we can also add a localized spotlight that is kind of like positioned out here and then comes in this way towards the character and creates more of like a rimming effect on the character. But like, again, since we're not seeing his shadow on the table because of this camera angle, we have more freedom to do some light linking without seeing it break.
Okay, yeah, I actually have some spec lights to light up the back wall of the room, so I could always turn those up a little bit too, just to get a bit more brightness in there, but not necessarily diffuse, if that helps as well. Let's
hold off on that. Let's just do the portal area light or area light outside the window, and then and just see how that looks, because we don't want to add, complexity until we're ready for it.
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And just and since we're already. Since I already got you on, I think these last tweaks on this look a lot better, and I think unless anyone else has any notes on this, I think that this is in a pretty good spot. Maybe I'm just seeing this, and you don't need to put this back up, but like maybe just adding a little more saturation to the haze that's back there, like add a little more color to it.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So next up we have Matt Kenyon. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I'll let it play through once, and then we'll start talking about some things. First off, just an impressive job of getting everything rendered and put together. It took me a long time to do that. So kudos to that. We'll talk about the exterior first, then we'll move inside. So overall, in this first shot, she feels a little bit too filled in overall. Like it's especially like looking at her skirt, her shirt, like everything feels pretty even in tone. And I know that this isn't the best in the example, but like with this key position coming in back this way on her, it would be better if in this first shot, the key is coming in this way, and then this side of her face gets, like this side of her body gets a little bit darker. So we can create the shaping across there. The flower looks good and colorful. I want to see more kind of a subsurface translucency on the petals, and maybe a little bit more punchy, brighter green on the stem. And then I liked this saturation level on the flower. I would try and get these back here to be about that level, because that's if anything, this one should be a little bit more saturated than what's going on back there to get our focus in the right spot. But I really like the colors of this one, and let's just get these surrounding ones to kind of be, because like these actually look more like that one. It's just in this first shot there, they're a little saturated out. The other thing about, so for this shot, I think the ground doesn't feel like it's being hit by sunlight. It feels like I can see like a key area and a shadow area, but the key doesn't feel like, it feels like it could go brighter. And I think that's more in the shader than in the light. So boosting that shader up to really get it, because like on these flowers here, and on the trees, you feel a definite key side and fill side. But like we're on the ground, it's more like midtones and some slightly darker shadows. So I think we can increase that. There's a couple technical things, like if you just watch the screen, the very screen left, there's kind of like a vertical line. You see that? It's like right here. And if you scrub forward and back, you can kind of see it living out there. Also, the sky doesn't track with the camera. Just something to be aware of there. And let's see. Go back to that. Actually, there might be a floating vignette too. Yeah, you know, I think it might just be the vignette, because like it might just be too. It could be blurred a little more because I can see it on the right side too, just like it just kind of slides along with the camera. Okay, for the interior. Oh, come back. I think there's overall too much fill light in here. And also the shadows are a little crisp. They could be softened a little bit, like especially from this TV. I am more okay with the light coming in the window because like it's much more direct sunlight. But this light from the TV is a larger light source, like a larger screen, and that would definitely be softer. Not only because of the source, but also like this kind of hard shadow of his on the background is. A little, it distracts a little bit from his actual performance. For her coming across, I want her to feel like she's changing light sources a little bit. Like, so she's coming in from the outside, and as she steps forward, like she should get a little bit dark. Actually, like there, she does get a little bit darker, but then here, she pops into more brightness. So you want to kind of sync those two up, and you want her to kind of shift from the outside light to being lit like from this lamp. Like as of right now, I can still feel all the light out here and just like a little bit of the light in there. And you kind of want that to flip as she's walking. And in terms of here, just like there's some eye stuff. And again, it's the same overall look. Like there's a lot of light coming in from his screen left side that isn't necessarily, let's go back. Like we're not seeing that source here. So just kind of getting those to line up a little bit. And I think it would be a matter of just like darkening that overall and making this brighter here and more about the light coming in that way and then the light from the front. Because right now it's like we know there's light coming in this way, we know there's a TV, but the brightest thing on him is on the screen left side. And then yeah, and now like both of them are very filled in. He looks a little different than he did in the last shot. So it's just a matter of, and then like watch out for her here. There's like some weird, I don't know what's going on there. There's some weird shapes on her. It might be just some weird shadowing, but just check in on that. I do like that she is jumping through. Like you can see she's definitely moving through light a little bit, and like that's really cool. But let's tie it in a little bit more with what's going on in the surroundings, and then yeah. Yeah, those are my biggest notes for now. And I know this takes a lot to render, so for the next iteration, if you just want to do some stills of each shot or things like that, that would work out well too. But like I said, just getting all of this rendered out and all of this done is a huge accomplishment. So like pat yourself on the back for that, because that is a huge commitment. Do you have any questions now that we've got you on live?
No, I don't think so. I think those are all good notes you made. And I think the part that took me the longest out of all of this was like figuring out like the render layers and like getting Nuke set up properly.
Yeah.
But then once I figured that out, it was like it went a lot faster, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I just noticed too, when she is stepping into the room, just like we're missing the shadow from her. From the sunlight out there. But yeah, no, it's true. Like the first pass is all about just, like you said, getting everything set up. And honestly, when I light something, the first time through, I don't even really care that much about the lighting. It's really just like, okay, let me get this. Let me just drop in. If there's an existing master rig, if not, I'll just throw like a skylight, a sky dome, and a sunlight or a key light in there, and then just render it through. Break out the layers I think I'm going to need, set up the comp, and that way at least you have your template and you have your workflow, and then you can build it from there. So I think I think you're in a good spot.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right, so let's hop on over into Photoshop here. We will work back to front today. So we have, let's see, so no Jordan today, although that's not exactly alphabetical, but we'll start with Vanessa. So this is the reference that you're using. We've got and you talked in your description about creating a warm, embracing the child looking out the window, kind of longing for someone or something, and I think this reference speaks to that look and that aesthetic. And the reason it does is the light is really, I like to think of it as really embracing the woman in the scene. It almost feels like it's hugging you at the same time too, because there's light wrapping around here, just kind of wrapping around all of her at the edges, and then creating a glowing effect that's very warm and very inviting. So for this, I think it would be it's important to get those same aesthetics. So for her, I would push the light around her a little bit more, and make sure that it's kind of embracing her a little bit more strongly. I think that this level, because this is probably more extreme than what was actually happening. Maybe not. That's a pretty big window, and there's also some these are white panels here, and she's more set into it, so the light would come in here, hit this, and then ricochet off and illuminate some there. So I think
just so you know, I haven't done lighting yet on this. I barely just put it on. I'm working on my layout.
Okay.
So I was wondering about my layout. I think I've been stressed about my layout.
I think it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it felt so. I am of the belief that a good layout just feels right when you look at it, and you start looking the fact that I wasn't even concerned about the layout at all is probably a good thing. Because I was okay. I love it felt very, very natural. She's the image itself feels very balanced. She feels well positioned within the window where she's kind of framed by it and not too close to the edges. I love I think it's the right amount of detail in the room. It feels lived in but not cluttered, if that makes sense. Okay. For me, I think the layout's really good.
Okay.
But I'll open it up to anyone else if you guys are not Kat and driving that could take a look at it. If anybody else, yeah, go ahead, Diana.
I think it's good, but I know we played with the camera focal length on your last shot too, so I'm wondering if you did on this one, or because I feel like there's a tiny bit of stretching towards the edges of the frame. Mm-hmm. Maybe not, but in the reference it's very none of that. So maybe just that.
Very symmetrical, very geometric.
Mm-hmm. So
that, not mine.
Yeah. So Diana, you were speaking more towards it being wide angle a little bit, and then getting a little more distortion around the edges. Yeah. That could be a good point too. Of I don't know what the lens focal length is, but anything over 55 would be no distortion around the edges. So just double check your focal length, and you might yeah, that's a really good point, because that does make an image feel a little bit, for lack of a better term, wonkier. And then that's a really good point.
I just think the bookshelf and the picture frames are getting a little wide. That's the only thing, but she in the middle, it's really a lovely framing.
I agree with that. It is interesting to go ahead, Danny.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we were looking at this environment, and it might just be, it's probably just the bookshelf, but this environment does create some proportion issues when we start bringing in other characters. I don't feel them as much in this particular case, only in the bookcase, because it's kind of bubbly and round. But that's all I was gonna say. Danny, what you got?
I was gonna say you were thinking about changing the cello. I actually really like it. I like also that it's really big and it makes the kid seem smaller. So it really works with the scene. I think you should keep it.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I was just wondering because of, I didn't know if it's red because of the story. I thought, so I put it there because it was reminiscent of the shape that we have on the reference. So it's like long and like tall and long, like that wood plank.
I think it would feel bare without it. I think it's good. I think it's a good addition, especially if it was like something low to the ground. It wouldn't be as good as that. And I also like because this character is so young and small. I do like that there's a lot of room, top and sides, like around this character. It, like as Dani said, it definitely makes her feel like you feel her size. You feel like she's small, and this, like if this was like an adult character, I think that being a little bit closer would make more sense. But I think this framing of the character works really well.
Do you think I need to put curtains in there? Because in the reference that she has like the fabric that she's putting on, and then like they can create a softness, or I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
If you want to, like if there was, especially like here, maybe if there was like a little curtain or something. But I don't think it needs it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I don't think it needs a curtain. Maybe like put a glass there or like something behind it, make some variation, because the window panes have variation, like top to bottom and between the panes. So maybe that, but I don't think.
Yeah, and I think like that, and then just seeing the trees outside a little bit and having a little bit more environment outside would help that.
Yeah, right now there's nothing.
Yeah, for sure. But like it's so I think some of what you're reacting to is these like larger constant shapes. Like just seeing this shape or this shape is like maybe I could add something there. It's probably more about breaking it up outside than adding a curtain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first time doing kind of an environment, so I was just like questioning myself a lot, like the order of things, like in which sequence to work. So thank you, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right. Let's. So Montgomery is not here, so we will come back to that, and we will jump to Kay. So I think this is looking a lot better. I think we're a little bit too bright on top. I do want to tone that down slightly, but this fill value looks really good. And like, especially down in through his torso and legs, like this little bit of rim, and you can just see his red nails, which I didn't realize that character had red toenails. I get weird about toenails. It's weird. But, and it's like, but I like, I'm liking the setup. I just think that we've got a little bit too much light here on top.
Sure.
And I'm wondering, do you have like a Z depth pass on this?
I do.
Yeah, could you maybe like try adding a little bit of like fog, haze, atmospheric fall off back there? I think that would help. Because that would lift these dark values like past. I like the dark here, but just like past that point, like this kind of far back corner. Let's try lifting that with a little bit of fog, and I think that'll help. But I think this is looking really good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody have any thoughts on this? And normally with these, I think I said this in the last critique. I would say that these leaves feel a little too blue, but there's something about but like if they were too green, they would just like, there's something about the aesthetic of this that I think it almost works. So I'm basically I'm asking everybody else if that, because like that's not exactly what leaves look like, but I think, like I said, I think it's working here.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like it's not the way it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah. I think like sometimes you just gotta roll with it and be like, because I think it's more about the composition and the fact that the color is meshing really well with the color of the background. But yeah, this is looking really pretty across the board.
Cool.
So,
Thanks, guys.
yeah, no problem. Great job. Really great job. All right, Kat's Diana. All right. So again, love this reference. I think I think her like your base level stuff is really great. Like her skin tone is right on the money. You're getting some detail in there. I just want to see more emphasis on one light over the other. Like I think the orange light in this is the dominant of the two, and here it's a little more even. Like they're kind of playing off one another. I would like to see maybe try pushing the orange side a little bit stronger, and then yeah. Yeah, I think that might be really helpful. The eyes look, yeah, eyes are looking really good in terms of like their value. Like I love the value between the two. Yeah, I think that's working out pretty well. But other than that, I'm trying to look and see. I know it's not in here, like, cause this background is pretty static. I'm wondering if like, there's something about it. There's something about this, cause you know what it is? It may even just be like JPEG compression, but there's a little more texture in the background of this one.
Oh yeah, like it's tainted. You
Yeah.
zoom in, you can see the canvas.
Yeah. You just see brush strokes and stuff.
So yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's just the canvas.
It's so much texture. So I'm wondering, I was thinking about how to bring some of that in, but maybe I'll just try making it look like a canvas, like see where that takes us.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not, because like the gut instinct on something like that would be, oh, let's add like a filter on top to make it look like a canvas, but I think that'll just make it look cheesy. Like if I was doing it, I would put more of a canvasy shader on that in the background and just allow the light to hit it kind of naturally. Because that's actually what we're seeing is a color on a canvas being photographed that has a different aesthetic than that. But yeah, does anybody else have any notes? Danny, Vanessa? Oh, Jordan, you're here.
I was wondering, do you think maybe the hair value could be lifted a bit? Because like in the other photo, it looked like the hair was kind of picking up on the light from the blue light, and it was like going into her with like the subsurface.
In here? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
That's fair. Give it a try, Diane, and see what the other thing I noticed was just like this like little speck here. I would just like paint that out.
Okay.
Just because it's a little.
Yeah, like the main challenge or confusion was when you put them, like the thumbnail side by side, this one is way darker in the fill.
Yeah.
But when I tried to match that kind of value in the fill, it got like kind of flat really fast, and I couldn't like figure out how to.
So.
Get it right. Yeah.
So this is kind of a this is an issue that I've had with some art directors that I've worked with and designers that I've worked with, people who paint in a style like this, because this is based on what we see with our eye, right? Like we can see more value in shadows with our eyes than we do photographically. And I think that when you try and translate this into CG, because this is my take on it, you read computer generated images more like a photograph of something than the thing itself, and when there's too much fill value, it feels too lifted, it feels weird, it feels artificial, and so I don't know if you could actually hit this level. You can hit the saturation for sure, but I think that unless you, I think it's harder to reach in a CG image.
Yeah, so I had like passes where the fill value was matching closer, but I just like did not like how it looked.
Yeah.
So my question would be just, does it read like I'm still matching the reference even if it's more dark, like contrasty? Would be the one that I'm going for. Like I don't necessarily want to.
I think if you go brighter in the orange area, it will. Because if I was interpreting it, like, because I looked at this reference and I thought that's really cool, that's going to be really hard to duplicate. And I think anybody that's looking at it with a lighting eye is going to see what you did with it and be like, that's the smart approach to toning it down, to tone down the shadows a little bit, because nobody cares if you can match a reference well if at the end of the day your image looks badly. Like, then it's just not. So, because again, it's the reference is a jumping off point. It's a thing to refer back to if you're struggling, but it's not necessarily a blueprint. Yeah. All right. Cool.
I see the eyelashes having the white issue that I had on mine.
Yeah, I thought that was like part of her design, and I do see like a lot of people's iterations. It stands out, and it's weird, and it was a little weird. But then I was like,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess the closer that we get to her, it might be beneficial to just take that map and invert it, and then use it as an opacity. I think for this that would work. If it was that's a good call, Vanessa. All right.
Yeah. I really like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop over into Dani's, and then Jordan, you're here. We'll go back to yours, and then we'll hit up the last few. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I do think, like, I think that in the comp, if you have crypto mats run, I would just crypto mat these a little more warm. The swords, just because they are, like, they do stand out to me, is because they're like literally a big X in the middle of the room. That's a slightly different hue than everything else, and that, yeah. And this is with a light blocker on the couch?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks better, I think. I almost want to see the rim played up a little bit more. Like, let's see if I can mimic that. I think that could go a little bit brighter. See if I can make this look okay. While I'm doing this, does anybody else have any thoughts? Please.
I think the specular hits of the moon on the window thing is a little bright.
Okay, yeah.
Or white, or both.
I guess it's red. It's very blue.
Yeah.
It's very blue. Maybe it's just too bright.
It's all.
Brightness.
It's not. It's the blue doesn't read. Yeah, it's too bright here, but the blue kind of reads more there than on the window itself. Yeah, maybe just take that back down a little bit.
Like try darkening it. It might show the blue more.
I'm also looking at the fire itself and wondering what we can do to make that look better. I'm wondering if
flames
the flames themselves. Like, I'm wondering.
How is that a geometry?
No, it's a black and white picture, and I just projected it on the wall.
Oh.
Like, I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be.
If I was looking like a campfire.
Yeah. I just wonder if it wouldn't be a little bit brighter in there. I don't know. Like, I feel like when I look at a fire in a photograph, like you do, it's like you don't see much other than just like a really bright glowy thing, like the way that we see the candles but bigger.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it stands out because the tips of the candles are so bright, and the fire is like less than that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think otherwise this is looking pretty good. Yeah. How you feeling about it?
Now I really toned down the light from the hallway,
Mm-hmm.
and now, do you think that the left wall is too flat, in a way?
Inside the hallway, or like on the inside?
Between the picture and the wall.
Oh, more down here maybe. Like I would maybe make a little bit more darkness. Let me think about that.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen this piece for a while, and it's looking really good. I do have a question on the table, the little round table.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if the, what do you call it? The leg, I guess.
Like down here?
Yes, if that's maybe a bit right. Is it like it feels like light is approaching it all about, and I'm not sure. Like I find my mind questioning where it's coming from.
I agree, because it's actually the connection between the table and the ground. So like, because the light from the fireplace is bright, and then kind of tones off in through here. Then all of a sudden, when we hit the table again, it's bright again, right? So I think it's a matter of toning, and I'm fine with, I think like the value on the top of the table looks good, but I think you're right about the light needing to be toned down a little bit. And then for this wall, yeah, I think just maybe darkening it down towards the, like, yeah, just finding a way to get a little more variation just in this box here would be good, because I think it's good shaping everywhere else. It might just be a matter of like this area being a little bit darker to be like, I don't know. It's tricky because the fireplace is right there and you want that light to read on it. All right, let's hop over into your the other version. So, like, I think the ambient level is starting to feel good. I want it to feel a little like, I'm playing around with the color. So I want it to feel a little warmer overall. And then also it just, like, I think that this light coming in looks really good. This back here feels like a spotlight being shined on it. Like there's a spotlight near the camera that's being pushed back there, or like a projector or something.
There's an area light right underneath it.
It's funny because if that was, it's funny because like, if it was underneath it, I would expect more shadows coming upward. Like looking at these the vases, there's like there's very little shadow from them on the wall, which would imply to me that that happens like if the light is pretty straight on with the camera placement, and so So I think feeling more
below does it. Since the light is coming from the hallway, it would look weird if the shadows are springing up.
I disagree, because I think actually because it would because that's actually where their lighting is coming from, because they're not being hit directly by that light, they're being hit by the secondary light that's coming up off the ground a little bit, and I think it could be worth it too. Like maybe just for a render test, just make everything in the scene like a similar, like make it like are you using Arnold?
Yeah.
Like a default Arnold shader that's probably like 18% gray, and then because I want to see because I think that the darkness of the ground and the carpet and the rug and everything is stopping some of the light from naturally bouncing up. And then I want you to turn off all the other lights except for this one, and because I want to see what that bounce looks like, because I may be wrong too. Because I think with a more of like an 18% gray or brighter, we will see more interaction from that light, and then we can better go from there. Yeah. I think that'd be a good next step for that one.
Okay.
Cool.
And question.
Sure.
I did a rim pass on the table, chairs, and the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I should take this rim and put it in the night one? And just tone it down a bit, maybe?
Yes, but definitely tone it down on the legs. Because again, it's the same thing we were talking about the last one. Like this amount of light on the leg is fine, but we just don't like it's also in the shadow here. So just if you have it as a separate pass, it'll be like it's nice because then you can literally like with a roto and stuff just kind of isolate it to up here and like up around here.
Yeah.
And then that'll help out a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, Jordan.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. This looks really great.
Yeah.
I would soften the idings a little bit and maybe tone down this screen left one a little bit more, but that's super minor. Just because it's like in the fill, like you just maybe like this one's a little bit brighter, this one's a little bit darker, but did you try because you were talking about maybe trying to put a spotlight or something in the background?
Yeah, but then I didn't have time to do that. I just wanted to focus on the idings and getting those. And then, do you think that would help, or do you think I'm making it too? Would I make it too crowdy if I added volume? I'm curious about.
I personally like. I'm open to trying things if people have ideas. I wouldn't. I don't think it would help.
Okay.
Just because like the thing. Because what that would do is it would muddy the background a little bit, and I like feeling like there's neon back there. I like feeling like there's city lights. I like the brightness and the punch of the background, especially the colors, like the saturation, and that because that really drives some of what we're seeing on her, and I think. That losing that would I think it's more of a net loss. And then the other thing I was wondering about, like I was just looking at this, like her white collar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that feels too simple. I don't know how to say that because there's like because we can see the texture in here. And in some of these other things, like these really fine patterns and stuff, that once we get in here, we kind of like lose that detail a little bit, and that might just be in that. But
I agree.
I don't know. What do you guys think? It might just be because I'm staring at it for too long, and I just, like that's the thing that happens, right? Like, there's some companies that I've heard where they have a loop, they have a 3-time loop rule. Where like during approvals they loop a shot 3 times and then stop it, and if you don't see something on the 3rd time through, then it's good to go. Because like if you just stare at something long enough, you'll find notes, but they're not always worth the bank's not always worth it for the buck. So maybe I'm just being a little too nitpicky because I do think this looks like I thought this looked really good coming out.
I think the shader could be kind of flat, like it's just like white. Like there is nothing to it, so I think that's actually I
think it's just taking some of like what we're seeing in here and just adding that in there, like because I think the color is good. I think everything else is good. I think the light value on it's good. It's just a matter of adding just a bit more.
Do you think I should darken it? Because I feel like it draws my eye down to that instead of her eyes.
Maybe.
Or
give it a little bit more of the purple.
Yeah.
Like making it more of a lighter purple. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. But really great job with this. I know you were working through the skin, but I think you've really gotten into a really strong spot.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we've got Jordan. We'll go back here. So Montgomery. Again, first character lighting. I think this looks great. The only thing I would do is we've got good value on, like I just think a little bit brighter on the pants and the feet, and maybe just brightening those a little bit because like I like how much light we're seeing on the pants here, and I want to kind of feel that there. Also, for some reason it's an interesting one. So I see the more focus on his face, and I think that works great. His chest and arm here feel a little bit desaturated and a little bit like toned down gray. I would just make sure that those are reacting to light the same way as the top. And then lastly, with the eye dings, I think they're perfect. Just flip them to the other side of the eye, because the light's coming in from the character's screen left, and you want that eye ding to be on that side as well. Right now it's kind of on the screen right side. But I think this looks great. I mean, that's honestly it. I think, like I said, first time going through character lighting, really, really strong stuff. All right, let's hop into Jenn is up next. This looks a lot better. You're starting to really get that softness, that feel. There's an integration overall throughout it. Oh wait, are you here?
It just came in.
Montgomery. Okay, cool. Well, I just did yours. I'll give you a bullet point of the notes here. I'm going to go back like I didn't just do it. Okay, so I think this looks great. I think as a first character pass, this is really, really, really strong. The only things I would change, I like that the pants are nice and bright, but I'm kind of missing that on the shoes and the legs. I lost my cursor. There it is. Like in here, just a little bit more of like this level of brightness. Not quite that bright, but a little bit more, and that's just a matter of upping that shader color. Second, so that was one. There's one of three. Number two, I really like the color and saturation and value of the face and this arm, but the chest and this arm feel a little bit grayed out a little bit. And I'm wondering if that's to keep the focus on the face. If you're doing anything there, I would pull that back just a little bit, because we're starting to lose some of it's starting to look a little bit less saturated in there. And I like where the head's at, but just if you can kind of pull it back just a little bit. And number three, the light is coming in from the character's screen left side. And for that reason, I think the dings should actually be there, and there. Like on the other, like right now they're kind of in the 2 o'clock position on the eye. I would just flip them over to the 10 o'clock position, just to match that. But I think the size, the value, all that stuff is looking really good. But yeah, overall, like you're really, really strong for a first character lighting project. Do you have any questions? How do you think? Where are you at? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, but really, really, really good stuff overall. Okay, let's hop over into Jenn's. As I was saying, I think this is looking much better. I would, a couple areas of focus would be getting this connection point between the bottom of the mushroom and the ground. It almost looks like you can kind of see through the ground on some of this stuff. And I just kind of want to, I just want there to be a little bit more, like, yeah, just because there's some really like hard line shapes in there. I would just look out for that. The lighting on the girl, I'm wondering if, and again, I didn't pull up the reference on this, but just take a look at the brightness on the back of her. I really kind of want to feel more of the brightness on the front, and just enough of that light to give us this kind of bleed through here. And then if you can get that, because there's light now passing through her garments, like I do kind of want to see it a little bit on her legs too. And then I think that you can push, I think the value of the glowy part of the mushroom itself looks really good. I think you might be able to push the light on the mushroom itself a little bit stronger. But yeah, everything else is starting to look good. And then, the ground itself could use a little bit more, something to break up the specular highlight, because I see it like a broad specular highlight in there. And I just want to see it broken up a little bit more. It feels kind of a little plasticky. So we want to just avoid that. All right, and last up in our reverse alphabet order here, we've got Aaron. So this is the first thing that stood out to me was the framing of the shot. Just because it's interesting. Like I don't know. I know we've looked at this shot before, but it's just an interesting frame to have to like, because our focus, like, because we've got leading lines that kind of lead us back here to the center. And so like initially I want to look back here, and then I'm like, oh wait, it's actually down here. Like that's the kind of the 1-2 that my eye does. So I almost wonder if we should lower the camera down a little bit. Also because the character's feet are getting cut off right at the base there. But so that would be the first thing I would look into. Now, if the camera moves and this is just like one frame of what you got, that's totally different. But I think from the framing standpoint, that's something we could work on. Number 2 is I want this character to go brighter. I love the lighting setup. I think it gives a lot of potential. But I want to read the character a little bit more strongly. Just kind of punch him up a little bit. And then I love the color saturation difference between the foreground and background, the kind of the warms and the cools. I'm wondering if we shouldn't take down the value of the light in the far background, because I think it's taking away from the character. If this were a little bit darker back here, that would really allow us to read in this space a little bit more strongly, because it's almost like it's a this is right now, this, like if I take this off, like this is the brightest thing in the image. I look here first and then I start working my way across. This is bright, so I stop here for a minute and then I end up here. By brightening this character, it actually, to about this level, I will look at the character first, and then as I go back, like you can go back and forth between the space in here, and you can kind of skip over the background, because there's like nothing really going on back there in the story. It's all about this connection in here. So we can tone that down. And then lastly, I would add a little bit more light wrap, edge wrap on the window here, because there's a lot of light coming in back there, and just seeing the hard lines of these shapes, it's a little stark. And then depending on the story, what's on the other side of this room, I want to see a little bit of shadow play of maybe something inside the room casting a shadow on the screen. I think that would add a little bit more to the world and make the world feel a little bit bigger.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. My mic wasn't working. I finally
No.
got it. Thank you for the critique, though.
No problem at all. I mean, that's a Discord thing. I think every single one of us, the first time we tried to speak on Discord, it does not work. It's something about like the way it reads microphones and cameras and stuff. It's just goofy. You should have seen it the day that Jasmine was trying. I wish I could show you the Slack channel that I have with her. It's gone into Slack history. But like, it was like it was just like a stream of consciousness of how to like join a Discord thing. She was like, how do I do this? Wait, what do I click? Oh my God, now my face is on screen. What is happening? Like, why does this make me feel like an old woman? It's funny. So, all right. Well, I think that's everyone for today. Is there any other questions or anything before we part ways?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, in this shot, you have the sun coming in through the window and it hits the wall.
Yeah.
Should the squares be smaller?
See, I'm not reading it as the sun. If it is, then yes. I'm actually reading it as more like interior tungsten light, like there's a light source in a room. Like the room is very, I'm saying this is like a bigger space, and this is just one room. Like, I think, yeah, because I'm not thinking that as being sunlight. But if that's the case, then yeah, totally. All right, great. Well, great session today, everybody. It's lovely talking to you, and yeah, we'll see where we are tomorrow. So great job, everybody. Again, your images are so inspiring every single day. I love it. It makes me so happy. All right, I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a wonderful day.
You too. See you later.
Bye.